Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A big change in the weather unfolding right in front of us, and we could be in for April showers of a different kind. Ben is updating the forecast.
Also, two of our top elected leaders striking a more optimistic tone about the battle against COVID-19. What does Michigan's top doctor think? We're glad you're with us tonight. Topping our news at 6, coronavirus as Detroit drops its reservation requirement to get more residents vaccinated.
First, a look at the state's case numbers. Michigan reports 8,574 new cases and 61 additional deaths over the past 2 days.
Starting tomorrow, the city of Detroit will join Wayne County in offering walk-up vaccine appointments. Those walk-up appointments are available at clinics across the city, including the TCF Center downtown. Also available at the Wayne County Health Department's vaccine clinics as well.
The COVID-19 order issued Friday by Governor Whitmer's health department kicks in today.
Added slightly to her COVID orders over the last few days, extending the mask mandate to children and keeping the 50% restaurant capacity and 15-person limit on indoor gatherings. Today,
Michigan's chief medical executive, Dr. Janae Caldoun, addressed some of these issues in an interview with Local 4's Rod Maloney. And Rod, we've heard a more optimistic tone from some of our elected leaders. Did you get that same feeling today from Dr. Caldoun?
Ever so slightly, Kimberly. And here's the thing. Remember that Dr. Caldoun said on Thursday of last week things were dire, as did the hospitals in Metro Detroit. And then, of course, over the weekend, the governor started saying that she was seeing some improvement. Mike Duggan today said he's seeing a lot of improvement. So I asked Dr. J precisely where she comes down on all of this.
I will say I am still concerned about the current test positivity rate, the current case rate, and the number of people who are in the hospital for COVID-19. But what we are seeing now over the past several days is a trend that indicates we might be, again, it's a might, we might be starting to see a slowing in the rate of rise of our cases when you compare to what we saw a month ago.
Sounding the alarm, not the order of the day, but it begs the question, were the hospitals overreacting last week?
And there's no question that our hospitals are still seeing a lot of patients, treating patients with COVID-19 and not COVID and other medical conditions. So I would not say that our hospitals are overreacting.
It was no surprise the governor extended the health department restaurant and in-person gathering rules, especially considering the pressure she's receiving to close the state down as she did in the past. But the governor did surprise by requiring masks for children as young as 2.
We are actually following CDC and pediatrician guidance when it comes to that requirement for children age 2 and up. There are many other states actually that already have that mask mandate in place.
So far, the New England states except New Hampshire have these rules in place, along with New York and the District of Columbia. Now, one of the things I asked the governor is, okay, if you've been vaccinated, you've waited your 2 weeks after that, you're fully vaccinated then, why do you need to wear a mask? And she said, look, she said, the vaccine is not 100% effective, and we have seen that. And so she said, it's still the right answer to wear a mask just in case. Back to you.
So, Rod, I'm wondering if Dr. Caldoun addressed the things you can do after you're vaccinated that you couldn't do before.
Right, and a lot of people may not know this, but one of the things you can do is if you are fully vaccinated and you are exposed to somebody with COVID, you do not have to quarantine. She also told me that if you want to gather with friends and they're all fully vaccinated as well, you can do so indoors and you do not need to wear a mask.
Yeah. Okay, Rod, thank you.
Mayor Duggan weighed in on vaccination efforts today amid reports in other media outlets that most of the shots at the Ford Field Regional Clinic were going to people from outside the city of Detroit. The mayor says that was expected.
We never believed for a second Detroiters were going to go to Ford Field. Detroit wasn't really engaged. Right. If you were a Detroiter, you could drive into TCF and not leave your car. Whereas at Ford Field, you had to park, get out, go into the football stadium. So we knew when they first opened it, and I strongly supported it, you had huge backlogs of people in the suburbs who could not get access to vaccines. But if you give Detroiters a choice between driving through TCF and staying in your car and parking in a structure and getting out of your car and walk, Detroiters had access to the easier vaccine at TCF. The suburbanites who couldn't get it near home came to Ford Field.
Now, if you are looking for a vaccine appointment, we might be able to help. Our digital content manager, Ken Haddad, is running a live blog at clickondetroit.com tracking new openings, clinics, and appointments. Look for Ken's smiling face right there on the homepage. He is really on top of it.
Great job, too, finding those appointments for folks. All right, we've pretty quickly gone from sunny and warm to cloudy and chilly.
Just you wait. Right, Ben?
Yeah, another winter flashback. We've had at least one this month, and we're going to be in for another one here in the next 24 to 48 hours. But it is light rain that's out there tonight. It's all green, and we do expect it to stay liquid tonight. This stuff is going to be gone by about midnight, but about this time tomorrow, we're going to start seeing another push of precipitation. That will quickly turn to snow. And that's what we're going to see through Tuesday evening all the way through Wednesday morning. And when it's finally done, there will be some of us with 1 to 2 inches of potential accumulation. Not everybody's going to see it, and not all of that is going to stick. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see those temperatures tomorrow only getting into the mid-40s, and that snow is going to begin as we head into the second half of tomorrow. 43 there at 4 p.m. and then looking at 40 degrees by the time we get into 8 o'clock. Numbers are going to get much lower for low temperatures over the coming days. We'll look at that in your 4-zone forecast, but you can see it right now on our local forecasters app. Track tonight's rain and tomorrow's snow, plus the 10-day forecast free in your app store by searching WDIV. Guys?
Okay, Ben. An 18-month-old baby boy dies in a house fire on Detroit's east side. It happened before noon at a home on Camden, not far from the intersection of Chalmers and Harper. Fire crews say by the time they got there and got inside, it was too late. Officials say the fire started in the bedroom where the child was. Arson officials are investigating the cause. We'll keep you posted as we learn more.
In Minneapolis, the jury is going to begin deliberating in the murder trial for former police officer Derek Chauvin, accused of killing George Floyd. Attorneys work to make their final strong impressions on the jury today during closing arguments. Prosecution called Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck, quote, unnecessary, gratuitous, and disproportionate. Meanwhile, the lead defense attorney said that focusing on the time that Chauvin's knee was on Floyd's neck, quote, ignores the previous 16 minutes and 59 seconds. For a more comprehensive look at everything that's happened in Minneapolis today, stick around for NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt coming your way right as soon as we're done at 6:30.
An apartment complex in Warren has become such a magnet for crime. City leaders say something must be done. The most recent incident was a shooting at the Warren Manor Apartments on DeQuinder, just north of 8 Mile. That's where we find Priya Mann, and Priya police have become very familiar with that complex over the past few years here.
Oh yeah, that's right, Kim. Police were just here yesterday morning for a love triangle that ended in gun violence, and now the police commissioner and a city council member are taking action.
It seems like it's almost weekly that we're having a shooting over there.
28-year-old Orlando Rashad Harris was arraigned Monday after allegedly shooting the husband of the woman he was in a relationship with.
It's been crazy over there for years.
There are 490 units in the apartment complex near 8 Mile and DeQuinder, and it's often at 100% capacity. In the past 2 years alone, Warren police have investigated 3 homicides here.
I could have been killed. You know, it was like 1 minute I'm just sitting there and I heard a gunshot.
That was a resident last July after a 10-year-old boy was shot and killed.
I run to the door and I look out the peephole. All you see is just little children and they just scream and hollering.
Warren Police Commissioner Bill Dwyer says the vast majority of people living here are not involved in criminal activity.
They're working people. They're trying to get by, but they're somewhat trapped. They're trapped by the small group that are committing the crimes.
City Council member Gary Watts agrees and wants better background checks on potential tenants.
We're going to have to create an ordinance to deal with rental housing in general, to be sure that they have a rigid standard to follow.
Commissioner Dwyer says Warren Manor Management recently installed 100 cameras around the property, which the police department will be able to access by the end of the week.
We're taking that very seriously, the problems that are over there, and we're not going to tolerate it.
And Commissioner Dwyer wants to hear from the people who live here. His direct line, that number is on your screen. He says it's confidential. He wants to handle concerns personally. He also says that Warren Manor apartment complex is cooperating and has similar goals in reducing crime. Councilmember Watt says he hopes an ordinance on better background checks will be passed within a few months. Reporting live in Warren, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Okay, Priya. April is Autism Awareness Month, and one of the groups educating themselves on the subject is law enforcement.
Some local police officers have a new tool to help them interact with people with autism. Our Evrod Cassimy shows us how it works.
Northfield Township Police patrol cars will now be equipped with these sensory kits for when they encounter people in the community with autism. This is a new idea that has spread to multiple agencies all across the state of Michigan.
We wanted to give back to the community more than we already do now, to go above and beyond for the special needs community as well.
That's the reason behind these new sensory kits every Northfield Township Police patrol car is equipped with. Officer Domzalski came up with the idea last month, and starting April 1st, Autism Awareness Month, his plan was put into action.
Having family and friends, loved ones, obviously that are on the spectrum as well, and we have employees here too, it was kind of near and dear to our hearts.
I have a 10-year-old son that has autism. He was diagnosed at the age of 2, and I knew he was autistic about 6 months old.
Officer Allison Shank with the Ferndale Police Department understands why this is so needed. Her son Colin is the most important person in her life.
He is funny. He's obsessed with music. He can play the cello, the piano, the guitar. Autism is a neurological disorder, which basically means that a child with autism, a person with autism, their brains were just created differently.
The officers are trained to recognize what autism looks like. The sensory kits come with different items to help people with autism when police approach them.
So these are just kind of like squishy manipulatives. This would be part of our jewelry, so this is obviously all clean, it's food grade. So a lot of people with autism have the sensory seeking, so they chew a lot. Of course, the very popular fidget spinners with people on or off the spectrum love these things.
Now, multiple agencies across Michigan have included these sensory kits in their patrol cars, including Northfield Township, Ferndale, Troy, and Michigan State Police.
We're coming together as a unified approach here with this initiative, which I think speaks volumes about how law enforcement is trying to collaborate together to, again, go above and beyond for the communities in which they serve.
And it is such a great idea. Each department's sensory kit comes with different items. Some are even passing out these stickers for people to put in their vehicle windows. Evrod Cassimy, Local 4.
All right, Evrod. There have been a lot of iconic posters over the years promoting the Detroit Grand Prix. Ahead, our first look at this year's as we hear from the student who created it.
We'll have that, plus here's Kim DiGiulio.
A young couple in love had one of the best days ever here at the Somerset Collection. I'll take you inside and show you how Tappers is helping out by giving back to our healthcare workers.